My name is Andre, and I am 68 years old, and I want to tell you a secret. It's not a terrible secret, it's not a crime. It is a secret about a box that was sitting in the basement of my house. Last week, my wife and I decided to sell our large family home and move into a smaller apartment. The children have grown up and moved away. There was too much space, and maintaining it became difficult. While clearing out the basement, I found a box. On the outside, written in my own handwriting from 1995, were the words, "For a special occasion." I opened the box. Do you know what was inside? A set of expensive wine I had brought back from Japan. I bought it when I was 30 years old, right after I successfully handed over my first major architectural project. I made a promise to myself. I will open this when there is a truly magnificent victory, or perhaps when my son gets married. The bottles were covered in dust. The corks had dried out and crumbled. I'm certain the wine had turned to vinegar long ago. Since 1995, there have been so many special occasions. My son got married. My grandson was born. I retired. But every single time I thought, no, this wine is too special. I need to save it for an even more important moment. At that moment, sitting on the cold concrete floor of my basement, I started to cry. Not for the wine, but for the life that had passed me by. Because that box was a metaphor for my entire existence. For 68 years, I have been saving happiness, rest, joy, and real life for later. And now I realize later is a time that never actually arrives. We're all like this, aren't we? We only take out the good china when guests come over. We save our favorite dress for a holiday that happens once a year. We save money saying, I will travel when I retire. We wait thinking, I will live for myself once the children are grown. I was an architect. My job was to plan the future. When I laid the foundation of a building, I was always thinking about how it would stand in 50 or 100 years. My brain was constantly operating in tomorrow mode. When I was 45, my wife, Lena, wanted to go to Paris. I had the money. I could have found the time. But I said, not now, Lena. There's too much work right now. I have to hand over a new facility. Let's go next year. Next year, when everything calms down, we will have a real vacation. Do you know what happened the next year? There was an economic crisis. Then my mother got sick. Then another project started. We never went to Paris. Now my wife has trouble with her legs. She cannot endure long flights or long walks. Paris is now just a picture on the television. Psychologists call this deferred life syndrome. It is a psychological trap. We feel as if we are writing a draft of our lives, believing that the real life is ahead, just around the corner. I'll just pay off the mortgage and then I'll start living. I'll lose 10 kilos and then I'll buy new clothes. I'll become the boss and then I'll make time for my family. But life is not a preparation stage. Life is not a rehearsal. The lights on the stage are already on. The audience is in the hall. The play is running. But we are standing behind the curtain, waiting, thinking that the moment to play the lead role hasn't come yet. I had a friend named Victor. He was a very wealthy man. He worked for 20 years without a proper vacation. His dream was to buy a house by the sea and go fishing in the mornings. He finally bought that house. On the day he got the keys, the very same day, his heart stopped in his sleep. A massive heart attack. He never spent a single night in his dream house. Standing at his funeral, I thought, did Victor ever live? Or did he just spend his whole life preparing to live? Let me give you another example. I have a daughter. She was an incredibly talented artist. When she was little, her eyes would light up when she drew. But what did I tell her? Sweetheart, drawing is a hobby. First, get a proper profession, become an economist, stand firmly on your feet. Then, in your free time, you can paint. She listened to me. She works in a bank now. She hates her job, and she hasn't picked up a paintbrush in 15 years. I wanted to make her future safe, but I stole her happiness. I taught her to live for later, too. As a father, this is my deepest regret. Now at 68, I have changed my rules. This change began the day I found that spoiled wine. That evening, my wife and I went to the kitchen. I took the most expensive dinner service, the one meant for guests, out of the cabinet. My wife looked surprised and asked, "Andre, it's not a holiday, is someone coming over?" I said, "Yes, Lena. Today is the biggest holiday. Today, we are alive. Today, we are together." We ate simple fried potatoes and meatballs off those expensive porcelain plates. We opened a different bottle of wine, an old one, but one that was still good to drink. We lit candles. And you know what? The food tasted different. The aura of the evening was different. We weren't just eating, we were feeling the moment. Since that day, I have introduced the 72-hour rule for myself. If a good idea comes into my head, to call an old friend, to go to the theater, to build a wooden toy for my grandson, I must do it within 72 hours. If you don't do it in 3 days, you will likely never do it. Now, I wear my best shirt on a Tuesday, even if I'm just going to the store to buy bread. I called my daughter and told her, if you want to quit your job, quit. We will help you. Paint. She cried, but they were tears of relief. I crawl on the floor playing with my grandson, and I am not afraid that my trousers will get ruined. Trousers can be washed, or I can buy new ones. But my grandson's childhood, his time being 5 years old, will never happen again. Some of you might be listening to me and thinking, Andre, that's a nice story, but I have a mortgage, I have small children, I have no time, I have no money. I understand you. I'm not telling you to run away from responsibility or drop everything. What I am saying is, do not wait for the ideal condition to be happy. The ideal time never comes. When your children are small, your house is messy, and you don't get enough sleep. When the children grow up, the house is quiet, but you miss them. When you are working, you have money but no time. When you retire, you have time, but perhaps no health. Therefore, create small moments of joy now. If you want to read a book, leave the dirty dishes and read for 15 minutes. The dishes aren't going anywhere. If you want to hug your wife, go and hug her now. If you want to tell your mother, I love you, pick up the phone now. Tomorrow she might not answer. Let me tell you, as an architect, even the strongest buildings eventually crumble. Nothing is eternal. Only the moments in our memory, only the warmth in our hearts remain. My wine from 1995 was ruined. I had to pour it down the sink. As I watched that dark liquid flow down the drain, I made a promise to myself. I will not let a single one of my days, not a single one of my feelings, go down the drain ever again. I want to ask you a question. What are you saving for a special occasion? Maybe it's a bottle of expensive perfume. Maybe it's words of love that you haven't spoken. Maybe it's a vacation you haven't allowed yourself to take. After you finish watching this video, stand up and do that thing. Wear the perfume. Say the words. Buy the ticket. Because the most special occasion is the fact that you opened your eyes this morning. There is no greater holiday than that. I am 68. I don't know how much time I have ahead of me, but I know I have today. And this evening, I am going for a walk with my wife. The weather is cloudy. It might rain. In the past, I would have said, it's going to rain, let's stay inside. Now I say, let's take the umbrella and listen to the sound of the rain. Can you feel the difference? Life is not a waiting room. Life is the event itself. If this story touched your heart, if you saw yourself in my story, please write in the comments, what will you do for yourself today? What deferred task or joy will you finally embrace today? I read every comment because connection with people is what I value above all else now. If you want to understand this topic deeper, I recommend reading Erich Fromm's To Have or To Be, Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. These books helped me open my eyes even if it was late in life. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. Here we talk about real life, mistakes, and lessons.